supposed to be. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of EChO. Today, I am with many different guests over here. We have many representatives of the Democratic Party running for office. We get to hear a lot of them on other formal places, unlike the pirate radio. But over here, I'm going to give them the chance to just be themselves. Tell us what is it that make them tick for this position, why should we vote for them, and so on. Get to meet them on their own time. So let me introduce them. We have Darius Lynn, who is running for Supreme Court. Tanya Ettinger, she is running to be reassigned as Monroe County Family Court and be kept on the position. Rich Murajda, who is for Pittsford Town Justice, and David Seguenza for Supreme Court as well. If you guys want to introduce yourself, Darius, your mic is there.
Sure. Thank you, Carlos.
Sorry, very uneducated of me. Tanya, please go first. Sorry.
No, Darius appears first. He can go first. It's fine.
That's why I went first. I saw it on the screen first. Go ahead, Darius. Go ahead.
Sure. Thanks for having us, Carlos. It's a good opportunity to sort of have a little bit more of a long-form conversation about running for office, running for judge, why we're doing this, and why it's important to us. Very quickly, right now I serve the 7th Judicial District as a court attorney referee. I'm running for State Supreme Court. This year, there are 2 open slots for State Supreme Court. We're electing 2 justices this year. So I'm one of the Democratic nominees. I'm also on an independent ballot line called Judicial Integrity. And right now, I think we need justices who have experience of people who dedicated their lives to public service, who understand the experience of people throughout our district. And I have just that. I worked at Legal Assistance of West New York in Geneva for about 9 years. I did civil litigation throughout much of the 7th Judicial District, foreclosure cases, divorces, evictions, public benefits, disability, all sorts of things that impact everyday people throughout that region. While there, I was also the Bar Association president for Monroe County, and I have a lot of experience with those outer counties in the 7th Judicial District. Following that, I joined the Monroe County Public Defender's Office, where I specialized in family court, parental defense, and abuse and neglect cases. Got to know all the issues that residents in Rochester are facing, that the challenges of just surviving, and how hard family court and court can be without the right resources. After that role, I worked at where I am now. I got hired to be a court attorney referee, presiding over family court matters in this same 7th Judicial District. I hear custody cases, domestic violence cases, and other matters. And I do that in Rochester, but also in Canandaigua and in other counties throughout the district. So I'm really excited to bring that perspective of public service, of representing those who need help the most, to the bench as the Supreme Court Justice. I think we need more perspectives like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Tanya?
Thank you, Carlos, for having me here today. I currently serve as a Monroe County Family Court Judge. I was appointed in June of this year to that position. And again, I'm honored to be here today to share a little bit more about my background and why family court is so very important. I've been practicing law for over 21 years now, and for the past 16 years, my work has been devoted exclusively to family court here in Monroe County. That means every day of my professional life for more than a decade and a half has been focused on helping families navigate some of life's most difficult moments. Before becoming a judge, I was an attorney at the Legal Aid Society of Rochester in the Attorney for the Child program, ensuring that children's voices were heard in those family court cases. And I know that I've said it multiple times, but family court judges hear a whole host of cases far beyond child custody and visitation, abuse and neglect cases, termination of parental rights, juvenile delinquency, and there's at least 18 different case types that a family court judge hears. And I have tried almost all of those cases during my time as a practicing lawyer, and I'm currently hearing those cases now as a family court judge. After I left the Legal Aid Society, I was a principal court attorney to a sitting family court judge, Fatima Reed, for 6.5 years, where I supported hundreds of cases to help ensure that the proceedings were fair and efficient and consistent with the law. So now, as a family court judge, I bring all of that experience to the bench. I understand not only the law, but the people behind those cases. And family court decisions can change the course of a child's life. And so it's essential that we have judges on the bench that have both a deep knowledge of the law, but also compassion for the families it serves. And that's what I bring to the bench currently, and that's what I will continue to bring to the bench because that's what our families deserve.
It is crazy, but not many people realize how a lot of things get intricated within family court itself. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Rich?
Thanks for having me, Carlos.
My pleasure.
So our town courts, and particularly Pittsburgh Town Court, matter for a lot of reasons. The main reason to me is just how important our judges are these days. It's really important our judiciary is independent, bipartisan, and makes every decision on the facts and law of each case. And in our town courts, it's oftentimes someone's first stop along the way, their first traffic ticket, usually their first criminal case. And it can be a way to educate and potentially steer that person so we don't see them again. Because how our community is safer and stronger is if we don't see people in the criminal justice system or in our court systems again. I often give the example of, say, someone with no criminal history is charged with stealing something from Wegmans. They're in their 30s, 40s. I want to know why that person is here. Like, what is going on in their life? This case can typically be resolved very easily with a plea bargain. But as the town judge, I would want to try to dig a little bit deeper because the goal would be to not see this person ever again. And if there is something going on, that we can try to address it. I'll bring 15 years of legal experience to Pittsburgh Town Court. I was a public defender in Monroe County for 5 years, where I defended the constitutional rights of people all throughout our communities. And for the last 10 years, I've served as a court attorney where I advise judges on their cases. These are the same types of cases that I'd hear in Pittsburgh. So I'll bring that experience to the bench. But then lastly, I'll just bring a commitment to the town of Pittsburgh. I have young kids in our school system. I coach my girls in Pittsburgh Little League. I would really just love the opportunity to provide justice for everyone in Pittsburgh.
It sounds like a simple thing, but it's harder to achieve than most people realize. David, how are you? I saw you this cheering from the beginning, and the double positions, the two positions.
That's right.
Please tell us
my
about
chance.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody viewing this, my name is David Seguenza. I'm one of the candidates running for New York State Supreme Court. And as Darius noted, there are two positions. I'm asking for you to vote for me for one of those positions. And I strongly believe that the best judges carry multiple different perspectives to the bench, not only personal, but legal perspectives and backgrounds. So what are my backgrounds? What are my lenses? I'm a proud Latino immigrant from Cuenca, Ecuador. I came to the U.S. as a small child in the late 80s with my parents and two older brothers, and they instilled in us that anything can be accomplished with hard work, determination, and kindness. All right. So what are the perspectives I have outside of being a Latino immigrant? I'm a father of two young children, live in the city of Rochester with my family. They attend city schools. I'm proud to send my children up to city schools and supporting my local school district and city. What are my legal perspectives? I was actually a prosecutor in Monroe County from 2010 to 2018, handled everything in the town courts. Saw candidate Murata a lot in the town courts as well, because when I was a young prosecutor, he was a young public defender. Handled all types of matters in the towns, and then was promoted to the Special Victims Unit, prosecuted sex crimes, domestic violence cases, some of the worst things you'd ever imagine. Handled all types of other matters outside of that, some robberies, drug cases, drug possession, vehicular assaults, vehicular manslaughters. 2018, I had a great opportunity to go work for the city of Rochester in the Corporation Counsel office. And there I was an attorney for the city, where I defended the city in civil lawsuits in New York State Supreme Court and in federal court. Also wrote legislation, drafted contracts, reviewed different items that different departments would bring across my table. And then in 2020, I had an opportunity to apply to become a support magistrate in Monroe County Family Courts. In 2020 to 2022, I was a magistrate in family court in Monroe County, decided cases regarding child support, paternity, spousal support, a lot of pro se folks, meaning they didn't have an attorney. So they would file petitions and then need a court to decide on these matters. And I'd proudly say that in my decisions and in every interaction with those folks, I would explain the law, what I'm looking at, what their expectation was. And in my decisions, I would put the law, my findings of fact, and made sure that the decision was well thought out and consistent with the law. That I think that's all people want when they go to a courthouse. They want whoever is deciding their case to follow the law, to treat the people with dignity and respect, and to make sure that the judge's decisions are consistent with the law. After being a magistrate, I actually decided to leave public service and try the private sector. I'd never done that before. Most magistrates work there till they retire. And then I handled divorce cases in Supreme Court.
I found that that was a twist in your career that I was like, that I was not expecting that, because usually you either stay there or you're pursuing right off of it. I mean, that's, most people don't realize a magistrate is basically like a mini judge.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people don't leave those positions. I could have done that until I retired, but most folks that know me, and particularly the immigrant story, we take risks and we continue pushing what we're capable of. So I actually left that, was in private practice. Divorce cases, family court, criminal defense, civil, some small claims, did it all. And then the public service bug came back to me last year. I became the first assistant conflict defender in Monroe County. So I help manage an office of attorneys, paralegals, investigators, caseworkers, and we represent folks that have been essentially forgotten by society, that cannot afford a lawyer. In family court, appellate court, and Rochester City Court, I'm proud to do that work, and that history of public service, as Darius mentioned earlier, is consistent with all the candidates here. I cannot endorse anybody, obviously, as a judicial candidate, but knowing everyone's background, we're all public servants, and we're doing this because we believe that the courthouse is for the people and that we are serving those people. We're not anything fancy other than well-educated human beings that are admitted attorneys that think that it needs to be equal access to all and equal application of the law to all. So thank you.
Well, no, thank you all, because this is where I believe that the formality ends and the conversation starts, right? Like, now everybody can know, yes, you guys are very well educated and stuff like that. Keep in mind, I feel like I'm a bridge between the well-educated and the normal folks like myself. So, and I'm not saying we're dumb, but there are certain vocabulary words and things that we don't use on a daily basis, you know? So pro se, delegation, the tribunal with the court and the appeal, we don't deal with that on a day-to-day basis. So like, I took a few notes because I would love for you guys to actually, even to me, it's confusing. When we're talking about the court attorney, then we have a support magistrate, then we have the magistrates at times, depending on what county and what stuff you are, which can also have a different role itself. Then there is referees. So it sounds like a lot of different names for the same thing. And keep in mind, we get confused when we go to court, we get a ticket, and we are told, okay, so how do you plead? Guilty. No, you plead not guilty. No, but I was told to plead guilty. Yeah, but you first got to plead not guilty, so that then you got to plead guilty. What? And that confuses us right there. That it sounds stupid, but we get stuck on that. So that's why I like to kind of like break it down to Carlos's versions of Carlos's. Would you guys help me break some of that? So you all have the experience, but how does it differ? What's one or the other one? I mean, apparently now we're going to have even more districts than the 7th. People don't know what even the 7th district means.
I always joke that we have a lot of lawyers involved, so we've made it as complicated as possible because that's our nature. But in all seriousness, those are really good questions. On a daily basis, we have to translate what is going on in court with people. So, sometimes that's just in the cases, but there is this gap between common sense and common language and how we use words with what's going on. But what you said, I think, is correct. We have a lot of different names for jurists, people that make legal decisions in our court system. So I'm just going to talk very quickly. I'm a court attorney referee. That means that I'm not elected to my position. I'm appointed. It means that when cases are given to me, but they're assigned by a reference order from a judge, and I am given the legal authority to hear the case and make a recommendation to the court as to what should occur. That would then get approved by a judge. There is an exception.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but just for clarification, when you say I get appointed, it's not like with Tanya that I believe it was the governor or somebody like higher up that appointed you. And you see what I mean? This is the kind of little thing that it's normal, but for us, no idea.
I got hired in the 7th Judicial District by the team that was hiring referees. And I assume David had the same experience when he was a magistrate to do that role. And then what I was going to say is that in most cases that I hear, people consent to me making the final legal determinations in the case. And what they do that by signing a referee stipulation. Okay. And once that's done, my powers are that of a sitting judge. If I'm going to be appealed, it's going to be at the appellate court, which is the appeals court for our area.
It gives you a temporary power.
In that case, yeah.
Now, do you all deal with the same issues, or is it like with judges that they deal with different issues? Like Tanya would be in family court, there's Supreme Court, there's the other court, city court. Is that why the different names? Like who takes care of what?
I can answer that, I guess. So a referee generally gets assigned to a part. So,
anybody can jump in. This is like feel free.
Yeah, you don't want to supplement, but you get assigned to parts. Yes,
you're putting all the weight on Darius.
I'm assigned in the family courts, but other of my colleagues are in the foreclosure part, the matrimonial part, and their roles can be slightly different.
Okay. No, go ahead, Judge.
So for the court attorney referees, I think there's 5 court attorney referees in family court, as Darius was saying, that they can sign the referee stipulation, which means, yes, we're agreeing for the referee to hear their case. If they don't agree, then it gets sent to me as a family court judge or one of the other family court judges to hear the case. And if maybe one side, I think, signs or doesn't, and the other side doesn't show up, I think that then the referee makes a decision and it's sent to family court to say yes or no to whatever the referee has decided. So there is a review in that regard.
All right.
And just so you get a little background on support magistrates, it's under Family Court Act. Under Family Court Act Section 439, the administrator of the courts, which back when I was hired, it was an application process statewide, panel of folks interviewing me, and that was Judge Craig Doran at that point had actually appointed me, but Judge Gallagher was the supervising judge of the support magistrates at the time. And there's a specific act, again, it's Family Court Act Section 439, that says all the powers a support magistrate has. There's no order of reference for support magistrates. There's a wheel where a support magistrate is assigned to intake, meaning all new cases. And you sit there for a month and you get maybe 50 or so cases a day for that month. And then you schedule out your calendar 50. Thereafter. Yeah, when you're on intake as a support magistrate, you have a lot of cases in Monroe County in support court. Again, it's child support, paternity, spousal support, and that's intake. So if you did a prior order and someone's seeking to modify it, right, either reduce the amount of support or increase it, when you did that order, you're going to get that case back because obviously you know more about the case, you know about the beginnings of how the support order was initially executed, and then a little bit of the pieces as to why someone might be seeking to change it. But that's generally a support magistrate's power. And then if someone wants to oppose an order or appeal it, they'll file an objection. That is then the decision is then reviewed by a judge such as Judge Ettinger to see if the determination by the prior support magistrate was consistent with the law. So that's generally how that process works.
All right. And now, if we're talking, because I think that's where it connects when you were talking about getting to know the people, kindness, apply the law, make sure you're strict with it when it needs to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are times that it's like, yeah, but that's a little extreme at this time. But how long can you spend with a case? Weeks, months, years?
With the original case, at least in support court, it could be a few months, depending, right? There's certain financial documents that need to be turned over. I tried to be more flexible as a court. Sometimes you can proceed with a final order, right away after the first hearing date, but I try to give folks an opportunity to turn in those documents. There's a financial disclosure affidavit that shows all your bills, all your expenses, what kind of health insurance, what kind of income you have, any kind of other
Basically, for you
orders.
guys listening, that means just a form where we qualify whether we make enough money or not to be able to pay for it.
No,
Because that's
that's
the other
not.
thing. Everybody thinks we get a free lawyer no matter what.
Well, you're
But
not entitled to a free lawyer in support court, only if you're on a violation petition.
and
Meaning
then there's the other part. You see
yeah,
the confusions
yeah.
because everybody gets a lawyer, right? No, it depends.
Right. No, generally speaking, at least in support court and a lot of other courts, you're only entitled to one when there's a possible jeopardy or deprivation of your right to be free or out of custody, right? So when you get an assigned lawyer in support court, it's generally on a willful violation petition, meaning someone is saying you're intentionally not paying child support. And because of that, the custodial parent that's entitled to support is saying, Judge, I ask you to find them in contempt. And part of that, I'm asking for a sanction or a punishment that they be incarcerated because of that willful non-failure. And someone's entitled to hearing to see, one, if there's even a failure to pay, and then two, whether it's willful or non-willful.
Yeah, because I mean, it's you guys have literally kids' futures in the hand at that point. But it goes also to like I don't know. I like the ability to be able to have some of recognition, like you said, that kindness. It goes with what Rich was saying, where he wants to be able to not only be a safe community, but also a nice community. Let's enjoy each other. Like you do soccer coaching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
one thing that I would often tell a lot of fathers when they were having difficulty with some of the orders that I would issue in terms of, I can't take my kid to the movies or some other events. And I obviously have concerns over that. I'm a father myself. But one thing that would resonate is I would tell them, listen, your son or daughter, the best thing you could do with them during your visitation? Take him to a park, play in the playground, play catch, go to Goodwill, buy a glove. You let me know, because I often do free things with my kids, but it'll be playing catch, going to the park, going on a walk, going on a bike ride. And your children value that sometimes over the movies or something that might be more expensive. But that's just us, interacting with the folks as human beings.
many people don't
If
realize.
maybe we can.
Many people don't realize you are there for them. Go ahead, Rich. I'm sorry, I just cut you off.
Oh, don't worry. I was just gonna maybe pivot a little bit from family court because I don't do any work in family court,
Yes, please.
but I I work in city court and I work for a county court judge, and in those courts we do lower level criminal cases, start to finish. We do serious cases if it goes to the county court judge, start to finish. We do evictions, we do civil cases, we do small claims cases, and code violations. And I just have always believed that there does not need to be barriers to justice in our court system. I'm the first person in my family to ever have graduated from college. So it's just something that like I
Correct.
do always hold very dear, that um, the court system can be easier. It should be very easy for all people to get justice. And things I've worked on in my current position is revising court forms. So if someone has a legal problem and they want to try to do it themselves, that it's not riddled with legalese, that it's written in a way that's simple
That
and easy to use so that someone can get justice.
that is part of what I actually was
Other
just going to
things.
ask you now. Oh, sorry, you were working. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Other things. I mean, I work full time as so many other people do. I have young kids. It's not always easy to take time off from work to appear in court. I helped design and implement virtual proceedings for my judges, and it's not for everyone. It's not for every case, but these are ways that the court system can work for people instead of just throwing up the barriers that have existed for a long time to prevent people from having an easier time in the court system. And then the last thing I just want to touch on in Rochester Housing Court, because David was mentioning just when you have a right to an attorney and when you don't. And in most civil cases, you have no right to an attorney. But what we did in housing court is, in most eviction cases, landlords have attorneys and tenants don't. So we partnered with a lot of the legal services agencies. So now in Rochester Housing Court, if a tenant wants an attorney, they can interview with an attorney and there will be an attorney to represent them in court that day that they're facing an eviction. We also partnered with DHS in Section 8, and now they are right on site in the courthouse. So if someone's facing an eviction, they can apply for rental assistance or apply for emergency housing that day to prevent homelessness. And these are ways that we,
that is awesome. I didn't realize you guys started doing it right in the courthouse.
Yeah, right on the mezzanine is the Rochester Housing Court Eviction Diversion Resource Center.
I do know it, but I never paid. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that many of us don't know about. And so please let us continue to explain more about it. Like how, because you know how many times people will get confused before cannabis was legalized, right? That's an example. Like, but I didn't sell my weed to anybody. I was just smoking it with Joe. And it's like, yeah, well, that's the sale. What? So you're taking the steps to be able to eliminate that unnecessary confusion. You know, like, why am I being charged with DUI twice? It was the same incident. One charge, one thing, but I'm getting banged for it twice. So in the field, to you all, it's like, yeah, it makes sense because of this and that. To us, it's like, that is like saying I'm going to fly underwater. It makes no sense. So thank you for that. I'd love to hear more about that you're doing.
Sure. I mean, that's just one of many programs that we've tried to come up with to really make things easier for people. This one in particular, just how do you come up with it? I mean, you recognize that there's a need. So someone comes in for an eviction. There's no time to go down and apply for rental assistance. There's no time to apply for emergency housing. If you get evicted that day, where are you and your family going to go?
Well, you see, so that's where most times it's like, for you to figure it out. And people don't realize that's where the word I keep typing here, kindness, comes in. Because what you're doing there has nothing to do with the legal system. It's beyond your thing. It's beyond, you know what I mean? But there is something pushing you beyond what the law says. Like there's a passion and a fire in you guys that makes you find these patterns and, unlike other people, act on them, not just see them go by.
I think that's probably true for all of us, that we just have a real passion to help people. And I'm not going to, they can speak for themselves, but based on the time that I've spent with them, I can feel it and I can see it coming from the gentleman in this group. And so when I'm on the bench in family court, and let's say there's a 930 case and they don't show up, legally I can dismiss it.
Sorry, what case?
if there's like a 9:30 case, I have a 9:30.
Oh, 9:30 a.m.
Yeah,
case. Sorry,
yeah.
I thought you were talking code.
Right. If I have a 9:30 case scheduled on my docket, nobody shows up, I can dismiss that case. And let's say they come in at 9:45. If I have the ability to recall that case, I'm absolutely going to do it, because I don't know what that person went through to get to the courthouse. Maybe they're a single mother. Maybe they had to take 3 buses with 2 children in tow to get to court on time. Maybe one of the buses were late. Maybe they didn't have childcare, or they had to get another child to school. I don't know what they're going through. And so there's no barriers to me to just recalling the case. Why am I going to make them start all over again? This just goes down to human decency.
But sometimes people will say that's the rule. That's all you got to do. So make it go back at it. Like,
I'm not going to do that.
That's, you see, and that's the kindness. That's the human aspect of it, right? Like, one conversation that has come up recently in the past few months, at least within my area, is, but if they're here undocumented, why are we even bothering and on giving them a judicial system? Why do we give them access to the law and order and blah, blah, blah? It's a waste of resources.
You know, when people come into my courtroom, I don't ask them whether they're here legally. I don't ask them who they love. I don't ask them whether they're Democrat or Republican. I don't ask them what country they came from. I don't care. I'm going to treat them all equally, fairly, with respect. I'm going to allow them to be heard. My job is to make decisions about their family. I'm not going to judge them based on any of those outside factors.
That's the kind of thing that makes me happy to be in New York State. Because, like, you know, it's the whole sanctuary city thing, which many people misunderstand, but we're not getting into that right now. But that's the kind of stuff that many people don't realize that it's needed in the courthouse. That's why you have to have people with the experience and stuff like that. Now, for example, Rich, you obviously have all the legal experience to be a town court judge, but most town and village courts are not required to be a lawyer, right?
No, there's no requirement that you are a lawyer to be a town court or village court judge. In our county, yeah, it is interesting. In our county, most are, but it's not like that all throughout New York State. There are plenty of rural counties where the town or village court judge is not an attorney.
Because that's also another part that you see that, like, at least on the towns that I cover, which are, I didn't realize the 4th through 8th district is basically half of New York State. Until I look at a map the other day and I realized that that's all of my area that I cover. So, unfortunately, you see some of those aspects, which is why I wanted to bring it up, as uncomfortable as it may be, the question of, you know, what do you tell somebody who thinks that somebody undocumented shouldn't get the access to the legal field? Because to me, it's just not even at the decency level. If you want to just talk numbers, what happens when you hide in an entire segment of crime that you're not addressing?
Well, what I always tell everyone about anything like this, like, to take a step back, when I worked at the public defender, people would say something like, how can you defend someone you know is guilty, you know did something to their kids, whatever it is? And what I say is that everyone is entitled to due process, the rule of law. There's a process that we have to follow. And then the idea of justice is that if we apply that process, we're going to get the result that is the correct result. And so whether it be somebody that we don't believe is in the country legally, or somebody we believe committed a crime, whatever the case may be, there's a robust set of rules, regulations, procedures. As an attorney, when I was a practicing attorney, my job is to make sure that those rules and the processes are applied correctly for my client, and that they get their literal day in court. As somebody who sits in court, it's the same thing in a different seat. I have to make sure the process is followed. Rules of evidence are followed. Procedures are followed. And then a decision is made supported by the law. So to me, it's kind of like a non-conversation. If you hear somebody say that they don't think we should apply the rule of law, they're essentially saying that they don't believe in the democratic process that we've built here. And to me, it's just fundamental. We have to make sure those processes ensure. And it goes every way, right? It's not just one side of a political spectrum or another. It should apply equally to everyone. And that is why, for all of us who are running for judicial office and for Judge Ettinger, who's sitting, we are required to sort of divest ourselves of political opinions. We have to follow the law. Mm-hmm. And it's not a headline. Nobody's going to, hopefully, it shouldn't be a headline that we're following the law, but it's fundamental. And it makes the conversation simple. And I just tell people, if you come into my court, you don't want me to have a personal opinion that I'm going to then take on to the bench. Mm-hmm. You want a blank slate. You want your day in court to be just that. So that's how I view every single inquiry that questions whether or not due process should apply.
And the problem is normally the people who come up with those questions only get to realize it when it's on their end and have to be like, oh, this is why I want them to be fair and just with me, because, you can't just give the weight to somebody. I'm really enjoying this.
Carlos, that's what I'm saying over and over, which is that if you're worried about whether or not you're going to be treated fairly when you walk into court, it's too late. You need to be worried about the judges that are being elected. Are they going to give you?
I love that message from David. Yes.
So that's the conversation we're having over and over with voters, is that the background that I have, the experience that I have, I believe I'm going to bring that procedure to the bench and give everyone their opportunity. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like the results. It already happens. People don't like when you have to make a decision. People might not like it. But I do pledge to anyone that they're going to get that opportunity.
I think you're all very good at seeing that, like to the point where if the roles were reversed, do you feel they would have been a fair treatment to you as well? And I think that, like Tanya was saying earlier, that's something that you all have, is that passion to help your neighbor, to help just the next person, whether you know them or not, whether whatever it is, it's just because be the community you want to see. Do the things that you want other ones to see. And so is that what brought you all into this field? I mean, you could have gone with medical field or something like that. Environmental law.
I'll give an answer, and I will just say I'm low on time here, but
it's already 1:30. Holy cow!
And, yeah, I have about 5 more minutes, but I got involved because I like advocating, I like arguing, I like finding the different sides of an argument, exploring it, having a conversation, and helping to reach it to a conclusion. But I was in college. I did college debate. I really enjoyed that. It kind of spurred me as an interest in the law. And you don't necessarily get that same sort of theatrical, advocacy for people if you're a doctor. Hopefully not. In probably some instances, but generally you're not doing that when you're a dentist. But we get to go into court. We get to make sure people's rights are protected, that they're advocated for, that they feel supported. And then in my role now, I get to appreciate those arguments in my court and then make what I think is a just decision. That's why I'm doing it.
Awesome. Now, how do you feel on yourself, Rich? Like, because we're talking, their views are Supreme Court, like this bigger fold that they gotta help within the community. Yours is more of a local reach where literally you might know most of the people that you come across, type thing.
Yeah, I mean, these are neighbors in the community. There's 22,000.
What do you see in Pittsburgh to be?
What do I see in the Pittsburgh community?
Yeah. What do you wanna maintain, hold, change?
Sure. I would love to see the court in Pittsburgh just become easier for all people to use. Some of the things that I've been able to bring to the Hall of Justice downtown, I'd love to see in Pittsburgh Town Court. Easy to use forms, simplified procedures, virtual proceedings, things that have been very successful there. why shouldn't the town of Pittsford have them?
Are they applying any of them yet, or some of them, or anything like that?
There's no virtual proceedings at the moment. As far as court forms, that's just something that I have experience doing. So I would review what we have and see if there can be any alternative options offered.
All right. I like that, because many people don't realize that. It's like even just a regular translation of a document. You can do the small translation at the bottom, keep one simple thing. You're not running around, but it's how much you want to put into it. So I am like, I know that this sounds like a word salad because I am not a professional interviewer of people. But I think there's a good insight onto you all, onto, are you running for this just because of power, just because I get the title? You know, like, is that the motive? Is that because I know that you say, no, we'd like to be, but I mean, gotta feel good to wear it too, though.
I guess I'll speak for myself. 5 years as a public defender, 10 years working directly with local courts. One of the judges that I worked for was the supervising judge for all the town and village court judges. Now she's the supervising judge for all the city court judges. These courts, like I had said before, are people's first stop along the way. So who the judges are in these courts really makes a difference. And that's kind of what has always stood out to me, that even on the extremely local level, these decisions impact people's lives.
You can stop it from going any further depending on the situation, kind of thing, instead of going to, you know, Sigüenza, Darius, or Tanya, if you handle it properly at a local level. Not always, but I think that, you know, you guys have that ability when you connect with people properly.
Yeah, just to answer that question really quick, obviously, I have a background in public service. I'm doing it because I think I can bring something to that role. I think I speak for all of us when every one of us could probably go into private practice and have very lucrative careers. We have been, David and I know Tanya and Rich too, have been essentially campaigning in some form or another since April, in a lot of cases, a lot of ways, well before that. And that means a tremendous amount of time away from your family, and there's just resources, money, time, energy. And there's, you know, so, you know, we're not doing it just so someone can call me judge. I think it would be, I mean, of course, that's a great goal, and there's nothing wrong with.
Sorry, you're breaking it.
But just having that. Are you breaking? Can you hear me? No? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Anyway, not in it for the money. There's a lot of other things we could be doing if we were doing it for the value, at least for me, the value that I think I can bring to the role.
And I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable with that question, but I wanted to people realize there is a lot of effort and a lot of things that you're sacrificing to go do this. So if it would be money, as you said, you could have the ability to go get a really good paying job anywhere in the country. It doesn't have to be Rochester. And so that kind of things, plus some of you have done DA, district attorney, and public defender, and you know the different treatment that you get from the public. If you're the public defender, how dare you? Unless it's me. If it's the DA, congratulations, unless it's me. So it's the kind of thing where it brings that balance to it. It lets you know that's another kind of job that you get fortune, fame, or connections into a Washington, D.C. type of job. You know what I mean? So you have to do it like an educator because you love what you're doing, not because of the money and everything else that you're going to get out of it. But you get to mold the world in a little bit to be a better place. At least that's what I think. I don't know. I may be wrong. You tell me.
No, you're right on the money. Carlos. Like I said earlier, I believe we all believe that the courthouse is for the people and we're public servants, and that's why we're doing it, right? As a magistrate, had my own courtroom, people call me judge. I left that, so we know it's not about being a judge because I'm already
Exactly.
and we know it's not about making money because I already made a bunch, and that didn't really fulfill me. So it's really about like we said, like we've continued to say over and over again, we've got track records as public servants. The goal is to continue that on the bench, providing an equal playing field with equal application of the law. That's our mission, right? Not one side or another. I'm a former prosecutor who's the first assistant conflict defender. Like, where do I land? You know where I land? I land on the law and applying that equally for every single person that enters that building. And the reason why we're running is because we don't always see that happening. And that's why we want to make sure we make the change that we want to see, right? It's real cheesy, but hashtag be the change you
Be
want to
the
see.
change you want to see. Yep. I mean, why are you running? Because it's the only other way, is the next logical step. It's like if you're going up the ranks and the ladder, the rungs, there's only one next one you can choose. So thank you all for actually putting into this race, because you guys put yourself into a beating. Like that's the part that most people don't realize. You expose yourself to anyone and everyone feel like they have the right to attack a candidate, whether you agree with them or not, whether Republican, Democrat, Independent, or aerospace, it doesn't matter. Like, that's something that many people don't realize. So I want to say thank you to you all for that, because standing for what's right and for what you believe is hard, especially when you're doing it for other people, not just for yourself. Anything you guys want to say before we go? I know Darius has to go. There was a delay on when we started because the computer and I had an argument. And, well, I apologize. She let me do my work. What would you guys like to do for closing? What would you like to say?
I just say thank you, Carlos. Appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform.
I think I froze.
Judge?
I think I'm freezing up.
No, we can see you fine. So I'll just say in closing that I really appreciate your time, Carlos. I appreciate you giving us this platform so folks can get to know us a little better. There's also a WXXI interview, I know, for the Supreme Court and Family Court candidates. If folks want to look into that, they can also find me on www.seguenzaforjudge.com, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'd love anybody watching this to vote Seguenza for Supreme Court. There are 2 openings. I ask for that one selection when you vote this November or October. Early voting ends November 2nd. Election day is November 4th. Thank you.
We're on October 31st right now, so a few days remaining. Tanya, I think you were trying to say something earlier and we couldn't hear you. Oh, no, still can't hear you for some reason. We'll wait for you. Go ahead. Who was Rich, I think you were gonna say something.
I was just gonna thank you for having us, Carlos, and just really stress the importance of voting, because this is not a presidential year. Turnout will be very low, but if I'm successful, I will be the person that you see in Pittsford Town Court. Same thing with Judge Ettinger, same thing with Darius and David. So I think people realize the importance of our judges and to go out and vote for them. And this is your opportunity. November 4th is the election. Polls are open 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. on November 4th. You can early vote today until 5 o'clock. You can also early vote at any Monroe County early voting site from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So just please get out there and vote.
I should have put that on the banner. You see, not a producer, a podcaster thingy. For next time. There he is. Or Tanya, yes. Let's try it again. Can we hear you?
I think yes. So. Sorry about that. Always technical difficulties. But again, thank you for having us on the show.
You got into an argument with your computer too.
I just wanted to circle back just a little bit to echo what some of the gentlemen have said today, that we are really public servants. I've dedicated my career to Monroe County Family Court. This is not a stepping stone for me. This is really where my life work has been. We have taken time away from our families to campaign over the last year because we truly believe in the cause of our respective courts, and we truly want to help the people of our communities. And that's why I took on this role and took on running for this job. And as indicated, it's not about the money, it's not about the prestige, it's about the willingness and the ability to have a positive impact on one child or one family or one parent. And that's why I'm running, and I want to continue to serve the families of the community as Monroe County Family Court Judge. So again, please go out and early vote. You have until November 2nd, or of course, Election Day, November 4th.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Darius?
I think I already, when you were cutting out, I said very similar
Oh,
to what everyone said. So just thank you, appreciate it, vote, support judges. It's probably never mattered more that we have really good insurance throughout our.
Broke off there a little bit, but I'm actually the one that wants to thank you all for taking the time, because again, you guys have, I think, about 3 or 4 hours a day to be able to sleep, shower, rest, and time to yourself. So thank you for giving me an hour of your time, a little over an hour. I wish you all the best of luck. Because you see, wherever you end up in life, whether in this or anything else, I know that wherever you are, and I hope here in Rochester, it's still going to be to make life better. Because that's who you guys are. You guys are people who wants to make other people's life better. So thank you so much. It's an honor for me to actually be able to even talk to you all. So thank you so much. And again, I apologize for the pirate radio setting type situation.
Appreciate it, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to follow this podcast so that you don't miss any new episodes. You can also search for PKDK on your favorite podcast player for all the other shows that we have.